Tessa, Cole, Catherine, Ryan, and Henry. This is Grandma Sue. I'm going to read The Blueberry Pie Elf. It's a story by Jane Thayer, and it's one of my favorites. I hope you like it. There was once an elf named Elmer who lived in a house with some people. No one knew that he lived in the house because no one can see an elf, and no one can hear an elf, and no one can feel an elf. One day when blueberries were ripe, the people picked a pailful. The little elf helped, perched on the blueberry bush. The people made a blueberry pie. Elmer helped roll out the crust. He watched as the berries all covered with sugar were tucked inside. When the delicious smell of the baking blueberry pie stole out of the oven, the little elf sniffed. He wanted that blueberry pie so much that he almost got his nose caught in the oven door. At last the pie was done. The people ate some for supper. Elmer watched every mouthful, and his mouth watered. The people left the rest of the pie on the kitchen table, and as soon as they went to bed, the elf, who couldn't wait one more minute, jumped right into the rich, melting, juicy, delicious, fruity blueberry pie and ate till his elfin stomach bulged. Then he climbed on the rim of the pie pan and carefully wiped his feet, all blue with blueberry juice, on his elfin handkerchief. He stole away to sleep off his feet in his favorite blue-flowered teacup. Next morning when he awoke, the first thing he thought was, I'll have some blueberry pie. But the blueberry pie was gone. The little elf looked in the refrigerator. He looked in the oven. He looked in the cupboard. The people have eaten the blueberry pie for breakfast. It seemed to him he could not stand it if he didn't have some blueberry pie. Rich, melting, juicy, delicious, fruity blueberry pie. Oh, he said to himself, they've got to make another blueberry pie. I'll ask them to. So he danced up and down and he waved his arms. He shouted in the people's ears. He tapped them on the shoulder. But no one can see an elf, no one can hear an elf, and no one can feel an elf. So nobody knew that the little elf was trying to tell them something. Elmer was so hungry for blueberry pie that he would not give up. I'll do some jobs around here, he said. Then they'll notice me. When the people got up in the morning, he made the beds. It was such hard work to get the lumps smoothed out. Who in the world made this bed? Cried the people. They never dreamed a little elf had made the beds. When the people finished eating, the little elf washed the dishes. It was such hard work to get the forks clean. Who in the world washed these dishes? Cried the people. They never dreamed a little elf had washed the dishes. When the people went out, the little elf swept the floor. It was such hard work to get the dust out of the corners. Who in the world swept this floor? Cried the people. If only we knew so we could thank him. But they never dreamed a little elf had swept the floor for them. Elmer thought, how can I tell them a little elf is making the beds and all, and that he wants some blueberry pie so much? He paced up and down, trying to forget the taste of blueberry pie. He closed his eyes tight to shut out the picture of blueberry pie. He hid his head in a pillow so he wouldn't smell blueberry pie. It was no use. He was still hungry for blueberry pie. At last, one day, he saw the people get out a pie pan and a rolling pin. Elmer became so excited. Then he saw they were making an apple pie. He didn't like apple pie. He crawled under the bed. He was so disappointed. One day they made a pumpkin pie. The little elf turned up his nose. Then the people made a red cherry pie. It looked good. When they left it on the table, the little elf tiptoed up and tried a piece. But it was sour. It didn't taste like blueberry pie at all. He turned away. He was so disappointed that he forgot to wipe his feet, all red with cherry juice, on his elfin handkerchief. He was just curling up in a little elfin ball to try and go to sleep and forget the blueberry pie when he heard someone call, "Oh, look!" "We've got a little elf in the house. He's been in the cherry pie and he left little cherry footprints. So he's the one who's been making the beds and all. How can we thank him for doing all that work?" Elmer was wide awake in an instant. He went back and looked. Sure enough, there they were, bright red elfin footprints on the white table. He was admiring his elfin footprints when suddenly he had a great idea. He did not wait a moment. He gave a jump and landed with a splash in the middle of the cherry pie. No one saw him because no one can see an elf. The little elf waded around in the cherry juice until his feet were dripping. Then he climbed out of the white table with his slippery, sloppy feet, and very carefully he began to slide about. And as he slid about, his slippery, sloppy feet, all red with cherry juice, made some red words on the white table. The words said, "Blueberry pie, please." When they saw that, the people said, "Oh, look, he wants a blueberry pie. Good, let's make him a pie." They made a blueberry pie and left it on the kitchen table. Then, while it was still warm, the little elf gave a jump. He landed in the pie, and he stuffed himself on the warm, rich, melting, juicy, delicious, fruity pie that he'd been thinking about for days, until he had had enough to last for a long time. His tummy was full, and he felt fine. He stole away to sleep off his feast, but just before he fell asleep, he happened to remember his manners. He went back, climbed into the pie, and got his feet slippery and sloppy. Then, as he slid about, his slippery feet, all blue with blueberry juice, made some blue words on the white table. The words said, "Thank you." The end.